Okay, off we go with the first. This is just a small introduction video here. So I just wanted to show you how we work this special crochet stitch, the half double crochet texture stitch for our Whoppa Cardi. And we're going to do a gauge swatch as well, because for a garment it is quite important to have the right gauge, unless you're just gonna wing it and then hopefully it will fit somebody around you. You can also do that. I will sometimes. But that is not the proper way to do it, and you should not. Do as I say, not as I do. Right? Okay, so what you need is your 7mm hook and your 6mm hook. The 7 is for the body of the sweater and the 6mm is for the ripping. And I'm using here my lovely Thorvaldar, which is Icelandic wool. It's bulky weight. 100 grams is 100 meters. And in the tutorials, I will be doing the large short version, which requires 10 100-gram balls of Thorvaldar or something similar. And to do the gauge swatch, now the gauge, actually, we have a loose gauge in this sweater because we want it slouchy and bacon and sort of comfy and with a nice drape. So we are going to, the gauge is, what was again, 11 stitches and 7 rows for each 10 centimeters, okay? 10 centimeters is what, 4 inches, yeah? Okay, so I'm going to do a little swatch here with you, showing you the technique and the stitch. And it's just good to be prepared, right? And we're going to do 15 stitches, okay? I already chained up. You chain up 16 stitches to get the 15 half double crochets, okay? So chain up 16, and here we go. So when you do half double crochet, you have to chain one more than you want. So I chained up 15 and 1 extra, and then we're going to work the first half double crochet into the third loop, and the first 2 stitches here count as the first half double crochet, right? So you're going to yarn over. Remember that the loop up on your hook does not count, so we count from the hook 1, 2, and 3 and go in here. Yarn over, go into the third loop from the hook, pull your yarn up, and we have 3 strands up on our hook, and then we yarn over again and pull through all 3. Okay, let's go again. Yarn over, go into the next loop, pull your yarn up, 3 loops up on your hook, and yarn over again and pull through like so. Okay, and now we just do this in each and every stitch. Yeah, and I forgot to say, do take care to chain up a bit loosely, because again, this is a loose gauge, and it doesn't matter so much with the swatch, but still it's just better to how do you say, just have that as a standard to do loose chaining. We're going to have to do loose chaining all the time in this sweater when we chain up. Okay, I'm just going here doing the half double crochets. Okay, like so. Now we have 15 half double crochets, and so when you count these, you count first the 2 chains here at the end. They count as 1 stitch, and your work goes into the second chain of these 2, right? Okay, so 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15. Okay, and now I'm going to show you how we are working. The nice thing about the half double crochet is that it forms sort of like 3 loops. It has the back and the normal back and front and back loop, and then it forms like a third loop here in the back, which we're going to be working into to get this specific texture that I love, and it gives such a great drapey texture. Okay, so end of each row we're gonna chain 2. So the first 2 chains here stand for the first half double crochet. So normally that first half double crochet would be worked here in the first stitch. So we have to take care not to work in this first stitch, because if we do, we are doing an increase. So always remember that these 2 here stand for the first half double crochet. So we're not working into the first stitch of the row. Okay, and so to get this specific texture, we are going to yarn over and we're going to find the third loop, because we are now working from the wrong side of the fabric. Okay, and so if we just look here on top, here is the front loop, here is the back loop, if we're, anatomically speaking, and here is the third loop, this one here, you see? And we're going to work into that one. And remember, we skipped the first one because we don't want to increase. So you yarn over, you go into the third loop, you pull your yarn up, then you have 3 up on your hook, and then go through all 3. Okay, and then you always see them here, the third loop, here is one, and there's like a tiny small one in between. That's not the one we're working into. It's rather obvious which one we're working into. It's the big one, and it's in sync with the rest of the loops from each stitch, right? You see? So front, back, third. And we're always going to be working into this third loop when we are working from the back side. Okay, yarn over into the third loop. We go up and go through all. Yarn over and see it's here. I think it's rather, maybe it's just a bit of a practice to get into this. I've been making like loads of Whoppa Cardis lately, so this is like extra clear to me, but this is just a bit of practice, which is another reason you should do your little swatch, because it's just good to practice before we start on the real deal. Okay, so we just continue here and go on and on. Dear Lord, I hope I get the right gauge. Okay, always into the third loop, right? And here is one, and there's one more here. You see this one, and then we have the chain on the end. So this one here is the third loop. And you can always just, if you're in doubt, just go and check. Sort of, here are the front, back, and the third here. So, and they're all in line, so just check from the front side if you're in doubt. And now we're going to work the last half double crochet into the second chain here at the end. Always into the second chain, right? Okay, so now we have done row 2, and as you can see here from the front, now we are getting our fabric looking so cool, because this is what happens when you leave the front 2 loops. Then you get this extra sort of chainy look here on the front, which I just love. Okay, on we go, and again we do 2 chains and we turn. And now when we're working from the front side, then we're going to be working into the back loop here seen from us. Okay, so this here is then the third loop, this is the front, and this is the back loop here. Okay, I may have said that was the front loop when I was talking before, but it's just the furthest one from you. Here's the third one, here's the front, and here's the back. Okay, and remember, we cannot work into this first stitch here because we already have made the 2 chains that correspond to the half double crochet that would be worked into this one. So we skip this one and we go into the next one, and now we just do all half double crochets into the back loops now. Whoops. 2, 2, 4, 6. 13 and 14. You see, it gets a bit sometimes at the end, a bit unclear what is the last loop and where is the chain, and then it's always just good to go back and look from the back side and see where are my chains. You see them better from the back side, right? 1 and 2. So this is my chain, and so I know this, oops, this is the last loop here. Okay, so just don't be afraid to just sort of pull at it a bit and look at it and look from both sides if you're in doubt. Okay, 14 here into the last normal back loop, and then 15 into the second chain here at the that we did at the beginning of last row, sorry. Okay, so you're seeing how this is working up quite nicely. Now, what I'm going to show you now, just going to take the opportunity while we're doing this swatch and say that even though this is the correct way to do it, that so that we're not increasing, you see we get a bit of a hole here at the beginning of the row where we're skipping the stitch that you're supposed to skip, but still, you know. So here, there's a bit of a hole there. So what I do to fix this is that I work 2 half double crochets together then. Okay, so now we go for another row, 1 and 2, and this is row 1, 2, 3, 4, and the even number rows are always from the back side, so then we're always working into this third loop here. Okay, so instead of skipping this stitch here, I'm just going to yarn over and go into this first here, third loop here of the first stitch, and pull my yarn up, and then I have 3 up on it, and then I'm just going to go into the next one as well, and I'm going to work these together. If working 2 half double crochets together, in theory I should yarn over again here and go here, but I just feel that gets a bit too bulky, so I just yarn over on the first one, and on the second one I just go straight in and pull the yarn up. Okay, so now we have 4 up on our hook, and then I just yarn over and go through all 4. So now what I have done is I have made stitched up this little hole that we were getting here. You see there's no hole now, and we still have the right stitch count, just 1 chain, the chains here for the first one, and then just 1 chain here on top for the second one, right? And then we just keep going always into the third loop, that half double crochets, and this really is just, I mean, I love this stitch, and it's great for making garments, really, fabrics, because sometimes I will feel that crochet will get a bit stiff sometimes, you know, but this one gives such a lovely, wonderful drape and a really nice stitch on the front as well, you see. Okay, so I'm always working into the third loop here. If in doubt, just look where the front and back, and then the third is just here next to it, and just 1 into each, like so. And here we have the last loop here, normal one, and then we do the last half double crochet of the row, always into the second loop, the second chain that we did at the beginning of last row. Okay, so this is the back side now, you see, and then we have the front side, which is just really cool. I love this texture. It's really quite nice, and it gives a very good stretch as well, you see. Also, we have a loose gauge, but still this stitch always gives a great stretch. I use this in my Mr. Beanie beanie too, and I really like to work it. Okay, and on we go. Now we're from the front side, and then we're working into the back loop always. And we start this always with 2 chains, and we're going to do a little trick here at the beginning of the row again. So we're going to yarn over and go into the loop, into the stitch we're not supposed to work into, and just pull our yarn up, and then we're going to go into the next one and pull it up again. So we have 4 stitches, 4 loops up on our hook, and yarn over and through all 4. Okay, then we can just continue and go 1 half double crochet into each and every stitch. Do 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 do. I'm thinking maybe it's going to be a rather massive marathon of filming. Maybe I can have music. I'm thinking I can. Okay, I did into the last stitch, and now we just have to do the last half double crochet into the second chain here at the end, like so. And on we go. We're going to do a couple of more rows just to show you the technique and to properly measure our gauge. Okay, I start with the 2 chains. I'm going to yarn over. It's from the back side, so we're working into the third loop, and yarn over, go into the first stitch here that we're not supposed to. Pull up your yarn. Now you have 3 up on your hook. Go into the next one, pull up another one. We have 4, and then we go through all of them, and we get just 1 stitch here on top, but we have filled in our little hole there, which is nice. And on we go, working our way through this little swatch. Here's the last one. When in doubt, do check here in the front. Here we have the front, the back, and the third here. So we go into the third, like so, and then we do the last one into the second chain here, like so, and we turn. I'm going to do a couple more rows, but it's all the same now, and I think it will be fine to just fast forward a bit, right? You see the lovely stitch, the texture that is emerging here. Okay, just how many rows do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're supposed to have 7 at least. I'm going to do 2 more, just the same. Let's do 8, and I will be fast forwarding now because it's all the same. Always from the front side, I'm working into the back loop, and from the back side into the third loop, right? Okay, I have finished the 8 rows for the swatch, and now the big moment of truth. Woo! It's stressful. Okay, let's see if this side sort of works. I have my great grandmother's old measuring tape. It's almost so that you can't see the numbers anymore. Okay, so 10 is here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Ha 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 ha. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 stitches. Great. So, I mean, I've made one that was like 12 stitches, and that one just was slightly smaller. You know, it's not so, you know, you can, it's okay if it's 1 stitch more or less, but you want to have it as close as you can to the gauge, okay? And so when you're measuring, you just put your measuring tape, start at the start of 1 stitch here, and then you count up to 10, until the end of 10 centimeters or 4 inches, that is in the US. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And now we're going to see the other. That was supposed to be 7 rows for each 10. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Well, this works out perfectly. Now, if you have a slightly, what do you say, smaller gauge. So, like, for example, if you're measuring this, and in 10 you have 12 stitches instead of 11, then you want to try again, do another swatch and go up half a hook size, or maybe 2, or maybe a whole hook size. I would think that half a hook size would be enough, so 7.5. Okay, if you have too few stitches, if you have, for example, 10 and we want it to be 11, then you want to go down a hook size so that your stitches will be smaller, and then you have, okay, and then you just do another swatch before starting, and that is it. So now you can all do your swatches, because I know you're going to, right? And then you are ready to start. Yay!